Podcast Network Asia.
May mental health struggle si Tracy. Pakinggan natin ang kanyang kwento. This is the 17th episode of the Major Podcast with Venus Ra. This podcast is brought to you by MX3. And we are here at the KMC studio at ngayon ho ay babasahin natin ang email ng ating letter sender. Dear Ate V, I hope this email finds you well. Itago mo na lang ako sa pangalang Tracy. I've been an avid listener of the first season of your podcast. Wala akong pinalampas kahit isang episode dahil marami akong napupulot na insights from your show. I knew one day I'd be writing to you to share my story and seek for your advice. I have been a devoted Christian for as long as I can remember, serving in multiple ministries and being active in church for most of my life. I grew up in a Christian home and church was like an extended family to me. But things changed when I was medically diagnosed with major depressive disorder. I was expecting care and concern from my spiritual family, pero iba ang nakuha ko. They questioned my faith and commitment to God. Sabi nila, my mental health condition was due to my lack of faith in God and that I didn't love Him enough. I was also told to stop listening to my psychiatrist, stop taking medication, and stop going to counseling altogether because, as they said, God is enough. Nasasaktan ako, Ate V, and it made me all the more sad. More power to your podcast, and God bless. Sincerely yours, Tracy. Tracy, thank you so much for sending us a letter and thank you for trusting us with your story. Alam mo, really, I'm so sorry with what's happening to you kasi alam natin na hindi magandang experience yung sitwasyon mo ngayon mismo. But I hope that you are getting better and if you have an update, siguro kung kumusta ka, maybe you can send us a letter, maybe a short letter again. But first of all, Tracy, let's talk about depression, and also to those of you who are listening or maybe watching us. Depression is a serious disorder that shouldn't be taken lightly. Like all other health illnesses, it needs medical intervention. Siguro, kailangan nating malaman na there's really nothing wrong with seeking help. And sa sitwasyon natin kasi ngayon, Tracy, alam mo naman, or siguro alam din ng mga nakikinig sa atin na hindi pa ganun kalawak yung pagkakaunawa ng mga tao when it comes to mental health illnesses. Kaya minsan, people are not able to give appropriate response. Or minsan siguro yun nga, kulang sa knowledge or wala silang kaibigan or kapamilya or kakilala who has experienced something like this. And so, yeah, minsan ang pinanggagalingan ng advice nila, kahit na they mean well, siguro maiksi pa rin yung pangunawa kaya hindi nakakarating ng maayos sa atin yung mensahe. And again, considering that people are imperfect, kaya may mga pinanggagalingan ganon. But I know that you are hurt, Tracy, at masakit naman talaga when we are expecting care and love and understanding from people that we have already considered family. Pero yung hindi namin meet yung expectations natin ng mga tao na yon, masakit yon. But I hope that you would also focus on, your own wellness and not on what people think about you or what people think about your situation. I'd like to suggest, Tracy, that you continue your therapy and that you follow your doctor's advice kasi kailangan mo yan. Pero also, check if the medication is effective on you and see if there are improvements on your part. Kasi kung wala, you can also go back to your doctor and then ask for maybe alternative option. Kasi baka meron pang ibang bagay na pwedeng gawin. But we don't have to discount also the fact that your spiritual health is also important. yun nga, di ba, na yung mental health natin is important, yung physical health natin is important, but also our spiritual health is important as well. So focus on that. And alam natin na makakatulong yon in uplifting your soul. Kapag nahihirapan tayo, Tracy, alam mo, minsan ang kailangan lang nating idasal ay, Lord, meet me where I am. And you know, God's hand is not too short to reach out to you. Kahit alam natin na nagsistruggle tayo, hindi maiksi ang kamay ng Panginoon para abutin tayo. So sigurado tayo doon. Sabi nga sa Hebrew 4:15 to 16, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin. Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need." Ano man yung situation na pinagdadaanan mo, ano man yung hirap na nararamdaman mo every single day, in our weaknesses, we can have the confidence to reach out to God and say, Lord, I really need your help. And I know na itong nangyayari sa akin ngayon, hindi kaila sa'yo to. At hindi bago sa'yo to. Dahil ikaw mismo, alam mo kung anong pakiramdam nang nandito sa sitwasyon na to. And maybe I'd like to also talk to our Christian friends who are listening to us, maybe watching to us. I'd like to take this time to really encourage you and tell you to be more compassionate and empathic. Huwag nating daanin sa toxic positivity. Let's not over-spiritualize things kasi that can come across as insensitive. Minsan, pag naalala ko yung story ni Job na meron siyang mga kaibigan na pumunta sa kanya nung nahihirapan siya, if you would go back to that story, ang ginawa lang naman talaga ng mga kaibigan ni Job ay pumunta doon, wala silang sinabing kahit ano, they just cried with him. They just empathized with him. Pero nagkaroon na ng mga problema nung nagsimula ng magsalita yung mga kaibigan ni Job. But even that, I guess, let's consider to be a friend who can be that person na talagang masasandalan ng kaibigan natin pag nangangailangan sila ng oras natin o kaya ng tulong natin. And sometimes those help does not need words. Pero kung kailangan ng words ng kaibigan natin, then let's pray to the Lord to give us wisdom para pag nagsalita tayo, yung lalabas sa bibig natin ay mga salitang galing sa pagmamahal. So hopefully, hindi natin ma-invalidate yung suffering ng ibang tao or ng mga kapatiran natin because that is tantamount to pushing them away. The church should be welcoming. It should be a safe space for people with mental health problems. So sana ho, palagi nating maisip yon na kung walang ibang mapupuntahan yung mga kaibigan natin sa labas, sana tayo yung puntahan nila at sana mahanap nila yung care and encouragement na kailangan nila. 3 takeaways from today's episode. Paano ba natin maiiwasan ang toxic positivity? Number 1, acknowledge and validate feelings. Encourage open and honest discussions about emotions and struggles. It's important to understand that experiencing negative emotions or going through difficult times is a part of the human experience. Christians should feel safe sharing their doubts, fears, and concerns without fear of judgment or being dismissed. Validation is a crucial step in supporting one another. Number 2, have a balanced spiritual understanding. While the Bible contains messages of hope and joy, it also acknowledges suffering and challenges. Encourage a holistic understanding of the scriptures that doesn't cherry-pick verses to promote an overly positive narrative. Number 3, support mental health and professional help. Destigmatize seeking therapy. Don't discourage people from seeking help. This could save a life. Be well educated about the importance of mental health and be ready to support those who are in need. Before we go, I just want to say hi to the tourism and business students of Cordillera. I had a speaking engagement there at the Baguio Country Club and I really had a great time. And here's some snippets. And that's it for today's episode. We would like to thank our major sponsor, MX3. And thank you also, Celatech, for supporting the show. Muli ako po si Ate V, always here to listen and to think things through with you. Till the next episode of the Major Podcast with Venus Ra.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia, the hosts of the program, or other programs of the network. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.